I'm jealous. Celoso, papi, celoso. As we are getting into our next quarterfinals match and spawning in the top right-hand corner of Ancient Cistern, we have the blue Terran player representing Storm Gaming. It is Nicoract. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the Finnish Zerg player representing Berserker Esports. It is Mixu. Let's go. ZvT is upon us, and I'm really curious to see how Nicoract plays this out. I haven't been able to cast Nicoract recently. Again, we've been putting these Sparkling Tuna Cups on hold. We've been putting them off week after week. Likewise, we also haven't been casting OSC King of the Hill. Wardy has been casting that event instead, so I've been missing out on my weekly dose of Nicoract. I'm curious if he has been taking up the Bjorn opener. A lot of even the Europeans have been going for these 2 racks openers in TVZ. Hero Marine comes to mind, Clem as well. This game though, Nicoract is going for a racks expand, so no Bjorn opener, no Bjorn opener. Not in game 1 at least. No clue. Shaking my head. As we're getting into this. Now, Nicoract, to me, there aren't too many Terran players out there that are prone to going to mech, playing with mech, but something that's burned into my memory, that's burned into my mind, is a couple of years ago, I think it was 2021, we casted Nicoract, and for a solid season of StarCraft, Nicoract would actually play mech against Protoss. I say mech against Protoss. He would go for these like magfill accelerator timings, like mass cyclone against Protoss, and he'd actually do pretty well with it. Surprisingly well with it. I think it was 2021. Yeah, maybe 2020. Oh boy. So whenever I think of Nicoract, that kind of comes up in my mind. Not saying that he always plays mech, but like it's within his capability. We can see though that he's going for a 2-1-1 instead, thankfully. Oof, thank God. I was preparing for the worst, but now we get to enjoy the best. As Reaper is going to be dancing here with the Lings of Mixu. Trying to pick off a unit here or there, if possible. But the Queen does swat the Reaper away. Behind this, we have a second Rex. We have a factory on the way, so this is the beginnings of a 2-1-1. I was wondering, this is going to be very bio-heavy. We're going to be skipping out on Hellions, so Nicoract, he won't have too much of a map presence. He won't be able to slow down the creep, but he's going to make up for that with some drop play in a couple of minutes. Now, Mixu still has to piece this together. Once he pieces this together, he knows that he can be greedy, he can drone up, he can, avoid making Lings for a while as well. Initially, you need Lings to defend against Hellions, but there aren't any, so you don't need to. Meanwhile, solid pickoff. Oh my god. Tumor does go down, and the Reaper will barely escape. Nicoract playing with fire. But the Reaper does get away with that Tumor kill. Very nicely done. As Mixu is just droning happily back at home. Looking to eventually saturate that third base. Ooh, as the Marines of Nicoract are even hunting down Overlords. Let's go. Overlords are under threat. Mixu is making a wave of defensive Lings, just in case. Just in case there are Hellions. As we can see, Stim is now on the way. Medivacs in production. Mixu is still free to drone for another couple of seconds until around the 4-minute 30 mark, and then we should be working on Lings to defend. I'm unsure as to whether or not Mixu has identified this yet. His Overlord was denied the scout, the Overlord was pushed away, and only a handful of Marines have been revealed. But by this point, he should be there haven't been any Hellions, it shouldn't be a 1-1-1. Things do dip forward. The wall is a wall. And here we go. The double drop is moving on out. Again, I appreciate that the drop is avoiding the Lings. Nicoract, he wants to try to keep this hidden, and so far he's been doing a great job at doing so. Mixu droning up pretty heavily here. Droning up to 55 or 54. But we now have 10 Lings in the way. We should have enough to defend this, or to deflect this. Here we go, the Marines, they do rock up. Overlord is going to be going down. Queens are trickling in as well. We almost get the Queen. And yeah, the Lings, they rock up just in time. Mixu does deflect the initial double drop as we dive into the main. So far, a good defense here by Mixu. He holds onto his 4th base. But a good trade from Nicoract. He takes down a lot of these things. The Queens are not here. The drop is pushed back. Looking at the units lost tab here. So far, only 2 Marines have died. Queens once again out of position. Can we deny this 4th base? Oh my god, it's going to be close. 4th is saved. Good stutter stepping out of Nicoract. He loses another Marine. 3 Marines for 42 Lings. The efficiency here from Nicoract has been insane. So far, very good trades. Sure, Nicoract, he didn't cancel the 4th and he didn't kill a Queen, but he has just been trading so well. This has been worth it so far for Nicoract. The downside, of course, is that he can't really stop the creep spread, but he has been keeping the attention of Mixu on the defense, so we actually haven't been spreading too much creep. Just haven't had the time to do so. Oh. This time the Queens are waiting in the main base, so this time Mixu is going to be able to defend his main. Meanwhile, we have a 3rd job coming out, cleaning up that creep we were talking about. Keeping the map control in Nicoract's favor as he almost gets a Queen. Behind this, oh, no 3rd CC. This is a 2-base all-in. Uh-oh. Mixu, he's got to be careful not to drone too much. There's no 3rd base behind this. We have tanks being sent out across the map. This is going to hit with 1-1. It's going to finish up in a couple of seconds. This is going to hit like a truck, and there is no creep here. Baneling speed is about to kick in. Tanks have been spotted. Where we do see Mixu coming in from behind. He's trying to get us around on those tanks. Meanwhile, behind this, Nicoract does throw down a 3rd CC, a very late 3rd. But a 3rd nonetheless. Oh, the tank positioning is just a little bit too good. A lot of Banelings are going down. At the same time, the Lings, they come in for a surround. At the same time, the 4th base is going to fall. Nicoract may lose some of his reinforcements, but he gets the 4th base. Already worth it. Could he get the 3rd? Lings, they come in for a surround, but the Marines, they get here just in time. Nicoract is going to lose Mixu is going to lose all of his Lings, all of his Banelings. Nicoract has broken through. He gets the 3rd. And this is too much. Mixu was just pulled apart. Wasn't able to recognize that it was a 2-base all-in. Didn't have the best creep spread. Good Baneling connection towards the end there, but it's just already game-ending damage. There's a drop in his main. There's a push here towards his natural. GG gets called, and Nicoract takes game number 1. GG. Whew. Very well played. A very aggressive build out of Nicoract. It started off as a 2-on-1, but it transitioned into a 2-base all-in. I mean, sure, he had a 3rd on the way at the end, but I mean, that was an afterthought more than anything. His push was designed to deal damage, to at least kill the 4th, but he did more than that. He straight up won the game. GG. Well played. Again, Mixu just in the dark as to what was going on. He did see the tank ahead of time, but again, he just didn't have the best creep out towards that 3rd base. Didn't have the best positioning or the best split either. Wasn't able to keep up, especially considering how much damage the initial 2-1-1 drop was doing, right? Like, what was that? 42 Lings for 3 Marines? And an Overlord as well. Good stuff. Good stuff. GG. Let's go. As we are getting into this, and spawning in the top left-hand corner of Babylon, we have the Blue Terran player leading the series 1-0, 1 game away from advancing on into the semi-finals. Representing Sidestorm Gaming, it is Nicoract. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Finnish Zerg player representing Berserker Esports. It is Mixu. Mixu was ahead. Kinda. It's kind of weird to say that, like, when you're up against an all-in, like, technically true, like, all Mixu had to do was defend, all he had to do was survive, but that was just such a powerful push out of Nicoract, completely pulling Mixu apart. Like, it wasn't just the build itself, but also, we should commend, like, his control, his micro. Like, he was very meticulous with his drop play, with his Marines, just squeezing out as much value as he could out of that. So, really impressive performance out of Nicoract in Game 1. Mixu, I'm sure, is going to be a lot more attentive to what his opponent is up to here in game number 2. As he's going for a hatch gas pull. Nicoract, I wonder if he's going to go for a 2-1-1 again. I would love Nicoract to go for like a 3cc 2-1-1 or something, right? Like, make it look like the same build as game 1, but have like a little bit of a twist to it instead. Whether it's a 3cc 2-1-1 or a regular 2-1-1, to go into your third base at a more regular time. We'll see. We'll see as we are loading into Babylon. Babylon, of course, having a pretty short rush distance by ground. We have seen a lot of roach pushes on this map. Is Mixu one to go into roaches? I'm curious. I'm pretty curious about that. When I think of Mixu, I think of a pretty standard player. He doesn't really come off as a very aggressive player. We don't really see him go for too many all-ins or too many cheeses. That's just not really his MO. It's not really the kind of player that he is, so... Yeah, I'm not too sure if he's one to mix in roaches. Roaches aren't the cheesiest of things, of course, but they can be pretty aggressive and be pretty committed. We'll see. We shall see as Nicoract is going for a 1-1-1 opener. Let's go. This time, no second racks. This time it is a factory. So we are going to be producing Hellions. We aren't going to be going for that double drop, the way that we did in game 1. So very different opener here from Nicoract. And yeah, it's going to be a very economic opener. It's going to be a 3cc. Let's go. 3cc before Starport. Should be working towards Hellions. Should be working towards Banshees from here as well. We'll see. There are different variations of this, of course. Oh! Let's go. I mentioned this earlier. It's a 3cc 2-1-1. Okay, that is a second Rax, not a Starport. Okay. So this 3cc 2-1-1, it hits a lot later compared to last game because of the faster third base. Again, very economic. There's a bit of a give and take here. I'm not too sure how I feel about it, to be honest, but the way this works is Mixu's going to have a lot of freedom. In the early game, there's going to be a lot of freedom given here to Mixu. We have a handful of Hellions, but I think it's only going to be 4 Hellions for Nicoract. So his map presence isn't going to be too big. He shouldn't be able to dive into a mineral line, so Mixu is going to be free to drone quite heavily. Until at least the 2-1-1 hits the field. But again, it is going to be delayed. It is going to be quite late compared to game 1, for example. As the Queens are going to be keeping up. And hopefully Mixu doesn't make too many Lings early on as well. Again, there are only 4 Hellions. They're going to be threatening a dive in towards the natural base, but the Lings are waiting for him. We are going to be able to zone those Hellions away. Queens are in position as well. And again, we should be able to saturate our third. Behind this, working on the reactor, Starport, we should be going for an add-on swap for those 2 medevacs. Oh, and Mixu. We brought it up for good reason. Not a bad map for it. It is going to be a Roach Warren from Mixu. Okay. We have our answer. He is one to dabble in the roaches. It's a pretty safe way to play, and it can lead towards some pretty aggressive timings with upgrades with 1-1, if you want to head in that direction. As the Overlord dives into the main base, gets an eye on the 3rd CC, and gets an eye on the Raxes as well. So Mixu is now fully aware of what's going on. He knows that he doesn't have to throw down any spores. There's no Banshees. can just drone up quite happily. As the double drop is finally hitting the field. Zooming across the map, and Mixu, does he have enough back at home? Has he been too greedy? That is the question. So this usually hits like 30 or 40 seconds earlier with a regular 2-1-1. This is delayed, of course, because of the more economic opener, and Mixu thankfully has time to make roaches. He does have roaches in production. He only has 9 lings, that's why I was a little bit concerned. Getting a couple of overlords. Will be supply blocking Mixu. Just hold for it. True. Just hold. Easier said than done. As we're going to be able to trade pretty efficiently against the Lings, at least. At the same time, a Heli as they dive into the third base. How many drones can we get? A couple of drones are going down. It looks like we don't have WSS Game Hard. 5. Oh my god. 7, 8 drones. Can we get 9? Oof. 8 drones go down here at the third. Really good trade here for Nicoract, especially considering Hellions, they don't gain value over time. Hellions, they're kind of useless at this point, so trading them out for drones, well worth it here. Nicoract now ahead economically. But Mixu is working on 1-1. We'll have a pretty powerful upgrade timing for his Road Ravager. Mixu playing with fire a little bit. Does threaten the push. We do have roaches waiting in the main base as well. Oh, Nicoract playing with fire is what I meant to say. Not like this. As we're working on our second factory, getting more Raxes up and running as well. How many Raxes do we have? We are up to... Okay, only 5 Raxes on 3 bases, so not too shabby. Not too shabby. And there's the 4th CC on the way. So Nicoract going for a more defensive style, which against roaches makes a lot of sense. You want to, if you ever fight a roach army, you want to have the defender's advantage. You want to have your tanks pre-sieged. Have the high ground if possible as well. Mixu setting up for a counterattack. Tanks are in position. Marines are as well. Oof. First tank will fall. And Mixu is transitioning. We have a Hydrogen on the way. What could that mean? This could be the beginnings of Lurkers. And yep, there we go. Lurker Den is on the way as well. So we are trying to transition into Hydra Lurker Viper. But can we make it that long? Can we make it that far? Files are thrown down. We have a massive Marine army. Again, Nicoract was ahead economically for quite some time because of that Hellion run by. Mixu was able to stabilize and get back up to 82 workers, but oh god, he just doesn't have too much of an army. Infestors are late. 2 of them are on the way, but the Marines, they just stim on forward, avoiding the Biles. And Mixu, he's just losing far too much here. A little bit too greedy, taking up into Lurkers before he even had any Infestors to support his army. Which means bio pushes like this are that much more terrifying. There was no splash damage to worry about. Third base goes down. And Mixu, he is cut off from his 4th. We just see Mixu, he's catching some reinforcements. But he's still bleeding out so much. And again, the top right hand base, it's going to go down. There's no way for Mixu to hold on to that. The drones are being saved, but are they really? Are they? We're trying to ferry the drones to safety, but no, the Marines, they're in position. Some of them will make it home. Some of them. But Nicoract, he's just steaming on forward here. 2-2 about to kick in for the Terran. Biles won't connect either. Oh my god. It will not connect as the Infestors have finally arrived, but a little bit too little too late. We will connect with some Fungals. Good connection with the Fungals and the Biles. But Mixu has already lost so much. As the army just stims on forward, takes down the Ravagers, takes down the Roaches. And with that, Mixu is down to only 2 mining bases. He still has top right. It was spared. It is still alive, technically. It's still kicking, but... yeah, Nicoract, he just has so much momentum going his way. GG gets called, and Nicoract takes game number 2 and the series 2-0, advancing on to the semifinals. GG. GG, well played. So Mixu being a little bit greedy, cutting some corners there. For those wondering, you see it a lot with Dark. Like, Dark, he plays Roaches very often. But typically when you're going Roach Ravager like that, throwing down an Infestation Pit and getting 2 Infestors is pretty important, just because it protects you from Marine dives like that. If you don't have any Banelings, if you don't have anything to support your Roach Ravager, like, you need something, whether it's Banelings or Infestors with their Fungals, right? They're a great supportive unit for that kind of army. We saw that Mixu skipped out on that and went into Lurker Tech, if you remember. He went Hydras, and then he went for a Lurker Den, and he was working towards, or he was looking towards a Hive as well. So he was trying to skip out on those Infestors. And we saw how you can be punished so heavily for doing that. As Nicoract, he just moved out. Just moved out across the map. I'm pretty sure Mixu was just hoping that Nicoract was going to be more defensive. And I thought so as well, you know, with the tanks, with the sensor towers, with the 4th CC. I assumed that Nicoract was going to stay at home and max out first, and give Mixu some time to take up, but alas, after Mixu attacked, things like escalated very quickly and snowballed out of control. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations to Mixu, sorry, to Nicoract as he advances on. My condolences to Mixu as his tournament run has ended here in the quarterfinals. My condolences. Much love to Mixu, much love. He's a great player, but Nicoract was just a little bit too much to handle here in the Sparkling Tuna Cup. And now we have 1 quarterfinals match left, 1 more left, to find out who faces off against Nicoract in the semifinals. We're going to be jumping into Mia versus Ranger. Let's go. A battle of the Sea Boys. Mia, the best Zerg player in Southeast Asia. Ranger, the best Protoss in Southeast Asia. Let's go.